Hey everyone, how's it going? TGIF, am I right? I love community art talk days because it means the weekend's coming.
That sounds good.
Awesome. Uh, how are you doing today, Mitch? Did you hear me? How are you doing today?
Yeah. Oh, I'm doing well. Yeah, good day today. Nice and sunny. Maybe a little bit too sunny though.
Yeah. After all the rain, I was stoked for a little bit of heat. I felt like we've kind of been in that weird like um cold circle. Like everyone else is experiencing a heat wave, and we're in like a weird little not experiencing the
Yeah,
heat
weird little
wave. Wow, my
vortex.
words. It's Friday.
Yeah, yeah. I am stoked. I feel bad for what happened down in Barrie. That little neighborhood that got torn up.
I don't
Actually, had a
actually know the story about that. What happened?
part of yesterday's like cold and heat front um, coalesced into a tornado down in the south end of Barrie, and it
Whoa.
tore up a whole neighborhood basically.
Holy cow. A
Yeah.
tornado.
Luckily,
Jeez.
no one was seriously injured, which is good news. But you know, unfortunately, pretty massive property damage.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I've actually been in some of the houses that are down there from back when I lived in Barrie, so it's a little weird to see it all kind of torn up and all over the place.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of getting in and out of buildings, we just came out
Mm-hmm.
of a site visit uh in our ongoing
Nice.
search for our next artist run center and gallery space. Um
Mm-hmm.
so that's exciting. uh just hanging out with the media lab and envisioning an arts hub space together that can also be home to the digital creator lab and art fix nippizing, which are some pretty cool collectives that exist here.
Yeah, yeah. I'll be super stoked for when we finally make our home landing, even if it's only for a couple of years while we work out something even cooler. But
Yeah,
um, yeah, I'll be
absolutely.
stoked regardless.
And any folks out there who are interested in giving two native arts administrators a new home, hashtag land back.
Mm-hmm.
Donations are
Mm-hmm.
always welcome. Actually, we just set up this really cool thing through Streamlabs, which is um, a way that you can live tip the gallery. So if you go through this link that we just posted, your donations will actually show up on the live stream. And our number one fan, Jimmy, is our top donator. So if you want to get some serious rep during our streams, that's the way to
Mm-hmm.
do it for sure. um, yeah, and before we get into some cool conversations that we want to talk about, we had a bunch of things coming up at the gallery. Mitch, do you want to jump into what we have on exhibit first?
Yeah, of course. So right now we have an exhibition up by a small group of artists. Um, their names are Roberto Santagita, Anna Calmeri, and Cassidy Bankson. And they've been working together for the last few months on a web-based exhibition. Um, and the exhibition itself consists of testimonials and video works that all get added to a web page. And the testimonials over time uh, will eventually coalesce and be layered together to combine into one single testimonial from the perspective of artists living with different who are trying to connect with each other online through COVID. It's kind of like the reflections about what that's been like and the kind of stretches people have had to make. And all that's accessible through our website, which is, drop the link right here for folks in chat who might want to check it out. There you go, Peripheral Island, number 3.
Yeah, and we had
so
such a
that'll be up for the
great
next few
artist
months.
talk. Sorry to interrupt you there, Mitch, but
Yeah, no, go for it.
I do want to mention about that artist talk is that it does have a limited lifespan. So if you do want to see 2 of the 3 artists talk about some of the the pieces, and see some of their reflections, that will be up until the 23rd of this month, and then you won't be able to see it at all anymore. So tell your friends that if they were interested in seeing that artist panel, they gotta check out our Twitch now.
Yeah. And other than that, we've been doing lots of other cool things with our friends at the OAC.
Oh, did you freeze, Mitch? Maybe having some technical difficulties. We were both kind of having some weird internet connectivity. So I might need to jump in for Mitch here. Oh, you're back! There you are. Okay.
Awesome.
You got this. You're just talking about the OAC.
Yes. So we got a bunch of cool things coming up with our friends at the OAC. Sorry, I had to close my whole browser. Something was eating my internet. Let's get back on base. Yeah, so upcoming on July 30th, we'll be meeting with the OAC here on Twitch to talk about their OAC, or the Ontario Arts Council's curatorial projects, specifically the Indigenous and Culturally Diverse Grant. And that'll all be about how folks can access it. And we'll be joined by an officer from the organizations who, can you pronounce this one? I don't want to fumble it.
Oh, Zay.
Definitely not anyway.
Yeah, Zay's really cool.
Zay. Yeah. So Zay will be joining us to help walk us and other participants through how they might apply. And specifically, this grant is going to go towards and support Ontario-based Indigenous and Indigenous curators and curators that are people of color that are working in relationship with organizations, and those organizations being much like Whitewater Gallery, organizations that present artists' work. So we'll be posting more information on that as we get closer to the dates, but go ahead and keep your eyes out for that.
Right on, sweet.
What else do we got? Lots of stuff.
Oh yeah, and then later on in the fall, I believe Lisa Worrell is also planning to join us to talk about exhibition assistance as well.
Yes, that'll be really fun. And I say it every time, but I'll go ahead and say it again. So exhibition assistance is a small fund that any artist in Ontario can apply for. It runs seasonally, basically it opens in the summer and it typically closes right around the new year. But for folks who need assistance getting their exhibition running, you can apply for between a minimum $500 up to $2,000 to help cover your exhibition costs. And so Lisa will be joining us sometime in the future to talk about what that process looks like, how folks might apply, even what juries are looking for, the folks that actually do the assessments, and kind of how best to structure your application. And if you're super eager, you can always get in touch with us if you're looking to get some kind of assistance with your exhibition assistance grant. We're always happy to take a look at that too.
Right on. And what are the, aside from subscribing to our Twitch, what are the best ways to keep on top of that
Oh yeah.
information?
So the best ways, as always, especially during COVID, is to keep an eye on our social medias and our website, as well as our newsletter. Um, so if you're interested in getting a bit more information every month about what kind of activities we're up to and um, what what's coming down the pipe, the best way to do it is to go through our website um, at www.whitewatergallery.com. The main page will take you right to our most recent information, and you can access it directly through the chat if you like. Um, Alternatively, you can always keep up with us on our social media platforms. We currently are running on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll drop those out for folks who might want to check those out now.
Yeah, so the website does have a place to sign up for our newsletter. We try and get it out at the beginning of every month. We're an artist-run center. We don't believe in deadlines here, which basically means sometimes it's a week late. I'm sorry, I didn't mean.
That's a lie.
I was not trying to make you do a spit take. Everything here is live, friends and enemies.
Mhm.
So, that was not
Mhm.
planned. Um, and so before we talk more about ourselves, I was hanging out at the what is it, NRCC, and for folks that aren't from the region, can you explain that acronym, Mitch?
Yep. So the NRCC is the Nipissing Regional Curatorial Collective. Much like us, they are a bunch of artists that have gotten together to found this sort of organization that does a lot of things. They run a lot of activities, but I think most people in North Bay might know them as a bit of a co-working space. Um, so even artists who are in need of some studio space can always link up with the NRCC. They run studio rentals through there, but that also comes with some exhibition opportunities too.
Yeah, I saw their micro gallery in the hallways of the facility, and there was some pretty stunning woodland stuff, I gotta say. Um, and yeah, I'm new to the area, but when I think about the way that this group is described, I've heard the term like experimental and very collaborative. And one of the projects that they're supporting and we're supporting at the Whitewater Gallery is the World Culture Fusion Fest. So they're doing some stuff July 1st, but they have some more things coming up in September. Um, yeah, so follow them to find out what the heck that's all about. Um, yeah, it looks kind of neat. There's some pretty big names on the back of this postcard. Some pretty cool, and some ones I'm
Mm-hmm.
excited to learn more about.
Agreed. Um, Someone I've been wanting to connect with to bring on to the show here has been an artist, a local artist that goes by Frank Polson. He's a woodland artist, but has maybe cornered the market on how to market yourself as an indigenous artist in the north. Something that is like a feat onto its own.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
so who knows? Maybe we'll get lucky and Frank will be not so busy to join us.
Yeah, definitely. I'm always really interested in like who are the people that I should be talking to as a new director of the Whitewater and a new person to the community. Um And that was part of a really great conversation that I had this week that I almost forgot to mention. And that was with other directors of artist-run centers, because we're getting ready
Mm.
to do a talk about kind of the. Well, let me just get the actual event description rather than trying to butcher it. Um, but it's also
Just
with
when.
TJ from Art Site Inc. and Clayton Windat from Arca, which I never remember the 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 acronyms for the artist run center support organizations, but that's what they are. They're a support organization.
Mhm.
Um, as well as Bruce, who I'm less familiar with, but I was excited to get to know because he knew a lot about the history in the 70s of artist-run culture in Toronto. So I'm really excited to listen to
Mm.
him kind of go off about that a little bit and get a little history lesson.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah, so it's called
That's funny.
Horizon: The Continued Relevance of Artist-Run Centers Today. And I'll pop a link in the chat for anyone who wants to catch this online panel. Um, yeah, and one of the things that we were talking about in preparation for this is like artist run centers being based in community and being hyper local. And so even though I'm not actually a local, I feel like I fit in just because of my background with like community art. I feel like that
Mhm.
curiosity about a place and people, and that willingness to sit down and talk to them, is really helpful for being like
Oh yeah,
engaged and getting in on the pulse quickly. You know?
exactly. You have to find out who's doing what and where.
Yeah, I've had such great community conversations so far with people, and I have some really cool ones coming up. I also want to put it out there that, like, as a new director and a new person to the community, that if you're an artist or curator, um, or you run an art serving organization and you want to have a coffee, um, info at whitewatergallery.com. I'm open for it. I'm here to meet folks.
Mhm.
I'm also here to do administrative paperwork. But I can sneak a coffee in here or there.
Mhm. Yeah, and same for me though. The best way to get a hold of me is through the programming at email. Um, Typically, I respond every day or two in big swaths. But if you have a question about our programming or are an artist in the community and you want to get some step-by-step information about how to get your exhibition off the ground, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, exactly. Also, like days like this, if you ever want to pop a question into our chat while you're watching our Twitch stream, we're open to that. And then for the VIP insiders who are members of our Discord server, the Whitewater Gallery beta, you can actually
Mhm.
pop in. So we've had a couple folks pop in. A media artist from Toronto, Lisa Worrell from the OAC, um, and it's really an opportunity every other Friday to be really casual, to give artists space to just promote the crap that they're doing. Like, let's get some
Mhm.
free marketing in COVID times. Let's talk about the things that inspire and excite us. Like, nothing makes me happier than talking about cool art. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, same for me. If anyone's doing something like really innovative or something super crazy, I'm super into that.
Yeah, the risky and the innovative. You can tell we're always about it. But you know what else I like? I think that innovation is also sometimes like unexpected, right? So I think really quaint and quiet and small things can also be really spectacular
Hmm.
also. So don't be too shy with those ideas.
Yeah.
I was doing some artist consults earlier this week, and it was really great to think about the process that you're going to undertake is so dependent on the concepts that you're using and the materials and the communities that those are based in. So, um, yeah, come to our Discord
Yeah.
and have a cool
Exactly.
conversation.
This all reminds me of an exhibition I saw a long, long time ago. Um, back when you're like, as an artist and you're going through art school just to kind of learn the ropes. Um, Almost in like every case, they give you like your end goal is to have some kind of like student exhibition,
Yeah.
and in doing so, to look at all the other kinds of exhibition opportunities that might
Yeah.
exist. Um, and the one I always think about, and I can never remember the artist's name, um, but they did their exhibition in a stairwell in the gallery.
Oh,
Um,
I love
it
that.
was literally just they fit their entire exhibition underneath the stairs, and it's just been like one of my favorite ones to think about when people wonder like what makes an exhibition, um, and really it's just your vision. Like that's what makes it. Um,
Uh,
and
yeah.
at least in our case, like I think the most successful exhibitions are the ones that take the biggest risks.
I
So
could see
even if you
that.
have
I
a
could see
weird
that.
idea, it's probably a great idea.
And what I love is the locals just suck it up. Like there's a very like like weird in the north like culture that I really love about this community. It's like for a northern community, there's a lot of embracing of the weird, and I really appreciate that.
Hmm.
And maybe that's a
Oh
credit to
yeah.
the Whitewater's history. Because speaking of artist run center culture in the 70s, that's us, you know? And that's like so
Hmm.
cool to think, like being part of a legacy. I bet like all the like older generation Whitewater folks are like watching this and like, oh, my heart. You know what I mean? Like, because really, it's like that trying to be different and do research based art in like northern Ontario is like what allowed us to like do like weird ideas. And like I remember the other day you were talking about like, oh, this thing that the Mackenzie Art Gallery doing with Minecraft, like I so wanted to do something like that. And then just being like, well,
Hmm.
let's do something weird like that, and like being in that
Yeah. Yeah.
opportunity is so cool. Having that opportunity.
Yeah. I was. I think it was a couple years ago. We were asked to provide some like information for the tourism sector in North Bay, um, just to kind of give them a heads up about like when they add us to their like kind of like local guide, like what to
Hmm.
tell the audiences. Um, and I'm pretty sure it's been corrected now, but the they credited the Whitewater Gallery as being like the first artist-run center in like Ontario, um, which it's not, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, that's
There's
cool.
only I think there's one or two artist-run centers that beat us to it, back in the 70s.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Or
that history is echoed across time. So it's always just super interesting to see someone, um, of like an older generation like walk into the gallery and just take like a big long look around, and then like come over and meet you like your family or something.
oh, the
Like,
arts elders. Oh my god, I feel
mm-hmm,
like we need to find them and we need to like get an artist fee and have like a Twitch chat because like I don't know,
mm-hmm,
back in Sault Ste. Marie where I lived like a solid 25 years. I did this like one show and it was like I was collecting like concert and event posters throughout the history of Sault Ste. Marie. Um cuz I was like who's keeping that history? I feel like there's a lot of really innovative people working at the Sioux Museum now, so they're doing like a lot of cool radical community stuff. But back then I was like, oh, I'm just gonna like talk to old show promoters and see if I can find stuff. And I found like posters from the 70s about this like old two-story
Hmm.
venue that was like, I think it was like a bar at the bottom and then a five-pin bowling alley upstairs that also had punk shows at it. And it was like,
Nice.
I know,
That's
right? It was
awesome.
like this vibrant like punk venue in the 70s in Sault Ste. Marie, and we got like posters from it, and some of the guys even were like, "Here's the cassette tapes that I had from this band," um, and it went right up
Hmm.
to like the artists. Well, there was like this cafe slash art sculpt social sculpture that also did events. So it was like from then till now. And CBC did a little feature on it for us. It was, you would have really liked it, Mitch, too. It was at this place called the Circle of Creative Arts, which I think is reopening in the Sioux
Mm.
actually, and that's owned and run by Missinaba Cree First Nation. Um, lots of
Oh, neat.
really cool, lots of really cool artists from that community, and I believe that they just won some legal things and got a bunch of their land, which is really cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Heck yeah. So that was way back in the
Yeah.
day, but I think they're actually
There's a.
reopening the gallery. Um, correct me if I'm wrong,
Oh,
Sioux
nice.
Arts Community.
Yeah. My favorite is finding out who these people are. It was a few years ago now, but we did a retrospective exhibition
Yeah.
with all the previous staff and members.
Oh, that's so cool.
Um, yeah, it was quite an event. It's kind of burned into my memory as like also one of the most stressful events, only because there was like this massive storm
Oh
uh,
no.
going on the same day. Um, there's actually a North Bay uh, article about it. For those that don't know, the North Bay is kind of like a satirical news blog for North Bay. But um, they essentially said that we had this like massive opening, um, complete with like installations of standing water and cigarette butts, just
Oh.
because it was so like the event was amazing, but there was like so much rain, and I have this distinct memory of like trying to hang a tarp over top of the entire back alleyway behind the
Oh
gallery.
wow.
Um, and it's like me and a couple of the board members are all standing on the roof at like its highest point, and there's just like lightning
Oh.
all in the sky above us. And our treasurer is just standing there with an umbrella, and he's just stone cold. Like the entire time, I'm just sweating like we're all about to get hit by lightning. And he was just,
Man, a
it was
trooper.
inspiring.
Yeah, it sounds inspiring.
Yeah.
On that note, I'm gonna share our Canada Helps link because our board and staff deserve it. We're looking for a new space where we won't have to ask our treasurer to hold up a tarp so that we won't be flooded. We want something really structurally sound moving forward, you know? We're really happy for the Moose guys. They were asking where we were at, because people were asking about us, and we're like, we're on Twitch. Follow us on Twitch. Um, and
Mhm.
of course, our website where we have Peripheral Islands or Peripheral Island 3, um, which I'll reshare the link for folks that want to check that out. And if you go and check our other videos out, um, on our Twitch stream, we do have highlighted the specific point when Cassidy and Roberto joined to have the artist panel. So be sure to check that out before July 23rd, because then it's gone into the ether of the internet forever. Gone from the ether of the internet. Yeah, so that recent link is the post um, for Peripheral Island 3. Um,
Mhm.
exciting new exhibit. It's kind of sad not to be playing Invaders anymore. I'm not gonna lie. Um, We were gonna try
Yeah.
we were gonna try and do Terraria today, but I wasn't ready technically, um, because we started having some conversations when we were looking for when we were looking for land for our gallery. Um, we were talking
Mhm.
about video games, of course. What else do me and Mitch talk about? Um, and how the colonial mindset, the urge to colonize land, is built into the game mechanics. So many games, so many games. So
Mhm.
let's start calling out some colonizer games. Do you want to start calling out some colonizer games?
I'm down.
Okay, so we were gonna do this while playing Terraria, which would have been great because Terraria is a really fun colonizer game. Um, it's like you're hammering and malleting, you're mining through the land, you're cutting down trees for what? For resources. What else? So the whole
Mhm.
concept of building and world creation and open world is built on the basis of extraction, on the very colonial theory that all of this mess that we're in terms of climate change, racial distress is founded upon. And, what better way to indoctrinate the kids, right? We understand the propaganda and the tool of residential schools. So, what is that in the contemporary era? That is the colonial mindset of extraction,
Mhm.
continuing to
Mhm.
assimilate our kids. And heck, let's not lie, Mitch. We play so many open world colonial games. You know what I mean?
It's true. It is true. Um, it's funny we're talking about it actually because I re-downloaded the game called Far Cry 5 last night. Uh, I was just thinking about the Far Cry series again.
Oh,
Um,
whoa, that's fun. That's
yeah,
so. We could have a whole episode on Far Cry, but go off, please.
yeah, yeah. And for those that are like, I think we might have touched on it before, but the entire plot of like Far Cry 3, um, almost every Far Cry game is uh, they're essentially the goal of the game is to reclaim back land um, from some kind of group that is evil for whatever reason. Um, but it's like just super weird as like a indigenous person to like play Far Cry 3, in which case you're like definitely uh, the character you're kind of forced to play is like this super privileged Caucasian guy who's essentially on like a rich person's vacation that goes sideways. Um, and it's just a super weird game to play now. I don't think you could make it now. Like even like the system wrote like the more you level up, the more tattoos you get. So you get all these like traditional tattoos, but they're all kind of piecemealed on your arm as you go.
Like traditional, like what kind of
Yeah,
traditional tattoos? I'm like, what? What's happening?
it's supposed to look traditional of like the whatever like culture they made up. To kind of put the setting of this game into. So
Wow.
yeah, no, it's
Well,
super weird.
it's not even weird if you think about it. Like, it's kind of like classic. Like, how many times has that been done? That's kind of like a Dances with
Mhm.
Wolves in video games, right? It's like almost. See, for
Yeah,
me, it's like not even shocking. It's like almost cliche. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it almost looks like an amalgamation of a whole bunch of different uh kind of traditional tattoo styles. Let me just send this to you, Ricky, and you can kind of get a feel for what I'm looking at here. Just gonna
Oh.
put it in one of our things. If it lets me take it. Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah.
Let's check it
So
out.
someone actually got this tattoo.
Oh, I just saw it and then
from
I
the
left
game
it. Let me check.
IRL.
Where did you send it? Sorry.
I sent it to the staff chat.
Oh, jeez. Okay. 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 Yes. No, I played this Far Cry. I've totally played this Far Cry. As soon as you showed me the tattoos, I remember how weird that was now. That was
Yeah.
bizarre. And then, what was another one I was thinking of? I don't know if it was Call of Duty. I think it was Call of Duty or Siege, where it was I that I referenced this a lot in the Invaders chat because the first time I saw Invaders with this was at this amazing like imagining indigenous futurisms conference that I think AbTech and a lot of the folks at Concordia had put together or around Montreal.
Mhm.
Um, and well, I just like lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, they were talking about one of the panelists at this event was talking about how it was either Call of Duty or Siege or something was like taking place on this like traditional sacred space and how it was just like really fucking heartbreaking. Oh, excuse my language. Really heartbreaking to like watch like this militarization happen on this sacred spot within the game. Like and then you're playing
Mhm.
it and you're like, "Oh damn, that's like, you know, this happening there or like, to be recolonized in like a digital way." Um
Mhm.
just like how that experience and then it's like yeah these like colonial forces like the military they're such a common replicated theme within just like the kinds of games that you can play, the kinds of games that are available.
Yeah, this is true. That's another one. I was playing oh yeah. Another it's not less to do with resources, but I find the kind of like the question about what belongs to who and after how long. An interesting question.
Oh, what do you mean by
Um,
that?
I don't know if anyone's well, I don't know if anyone's played the game like Metro Exodus, but it's like supposed to be like this: the world's ended, and people are living underground, um, and eventually come up when the Fallout's gone or whatever. Not unlike the game Fallout,
Yeah.
um, but it's in this narrative. It's like everyone is gone, and it takes place in like a and like maybe this is too a bit too nuanced for our case, but I still found it interesting
Mhm.
because this all takes place in Russia. Um, in which case, if you're living in Russia or in like the Caucasus or anywhere in that like kind of like Caspian Sea area, um, if you're living where you live, you're probably indigenous to that area. Um, but what's interesting is um, that the like if something was to happen to the earth and it became uninhabitable for a certain amount of time, um, like what happens when or what's an easier way to think about this is actually the VR game slash kind of like viewing experience,
Yeah.
Beethoven
Yeah.
by Lisa something. um, Let me pull that up. Big shout out to Lisa. um,
I'm really
because
interested
that
in
did
what
a
my Baltic friends are gonna say on your takes on Russia.
okay.
We're gonna generate some interesting
I think
conversation
the
in this
culture
episode.
is
Yeah.
I think the culture is really interesting. Um, Lisa Jackson. Um, yeah, so folks that aren't familiar, we screened Beethoven First Light a few years ago, um, and essentially it just takes the question about indigenous futurism to a sort of extreme about what does Canada look like, or what does Toronto look like if like civilization, like a Western civilization, collapsed, and indigenous people moved back in which case it's like, you got traditional like teepees and other structures all like dotting the landscape and on top of like skyscrapers and stuff like that.
I'm like,
Yeah.
don't wait for the future. Put up teepees everywhere now. That's my propaganda for my old Pawading water protector brew.
Yeah.
There's actually something I wanted to share with you and get your opinion on. So as a lot of as people might have known, I like first-person shooters quite a bit. There is obviously I'm not a fan of a lot of things. I have opinions on everything, but I love playing first-person shooters. And all my friends tease me all the time, like, play Siege with us, Rainbow Siege 6. And ever since this new thing, which I'm gonna just bring up the window real quick. So Rainbow Siege got a Nakoda operator, and she's got the water protector tattoos. She is kind of cool, but there's complexity to this, okay? So I don't know if you got the Twitch up, Mitch, and you want to mute for a second. I'm gonna play this this video here. Okay.
I think it's important to have a First Nations character in a mainstream game because Indigenous women especially are very underrepresented in mainstream media, and that's what we're hoping to change with this character.
The creation of Thunderbird does have immense potential to bust down all those negative stereotypes about even Indigenous women, Indigenous people.
If there's anything that can help target an audience to become more interested in Nakoda community, it's probably technology. And Ubisoft is right in touch with the highest technology, games, and something like this can have a really big impact on youth. And I'm excited to see the outcome of Thunderbird.
Thunderbird was born in the Nakota Territories in Saskatchewan. Her civilian name is Nina Sky. She values her community, and she's also a protector, whether it's of people, the community, or the land.
We knew that we wanted this character to be a pilot, a helicopter pilot, but we didn't know exactly in which field she would be working. So I asked the consultants if they had any sort of feedback or information that they wanted to take into consideration when picking the work field in which this character would be working.
I suggested that Thunderbird be a technical expert within hydrology because we believe as Nakota people that water is life, and that within that is the struggle of protecting and preserving the environment.
When we started talking about weapons or tools that this character would have, we were kind of tossing around different names. I made a suggestion and say Nakota words as simply as possible. That Kona would be actually a good name because it means friend.
Thunderbird's gadget is a little bit unique. She's going to be our second operator who can raise the health of their teammates. However, it can also heal your opponents. So Kona quite literally is a friend to everyone.
Long ago, especially the northern Nakota tribes of the Great Plains, we tattooed our faces. And that's something that has been forgotten, even in our own histories. Now it's something that we're starting to talk about, something that we want to bring back. That's what I wanted to see with this character, was to grab someone's interest enough to want to go out there and find and do research of their own of who the Nakota are, what are the Nakota, am I a Nakota, what's my language, what's my culture, what does this symbol mean?
Thunderbird would not have existed without the input of Tarina, Jessica, and Shayna. They honestly created this character from the ground up.
We never really knew each other, and we were so excited to talk about this character. And we talked about water, we talked about her name, and we talked about all of these things that, that's going to represent a strong woman warrior. She's going to be representing, she's going to be carrying, And that was really what was cool about working with Ubisoft and this character.
On considère qu'aujourd'hui, quand on travaille dans ces secteurs-là, dans ces médiums-là, c'est notre devoir d'offrir un maximum de représentation, de donner la possibilité à un maximum de personnes de pouvoir s'identifier, de pouvoir rêver, de pouvoir se projeter au travers de notre contenu. Et c'est pour ça qu'on va repousser de plus en plus les limites de la diversité sur notre projet. On va aller voir un maximum de communautés et de minorités et faire en sorte que n'importe qui a envie de se projeter, qui a envie d'interagir avec Siege, puisse avoir une forme de porte d'entrée au travers d'un personnage qui lui ressemble.
She's really bringing such an ancient, historic people into the present. I hope that honors her and all Indigenous women and all Indigenous people.
I feel that us consultants worked very carefully and respectfully to develop a character that would make Nakota people proud.
This is something that's going to really impact with kids that are Nakota. I might just, purchase a game console and try it out myself.
So now, do we get a Rainbow Six Siege sponsorship? Oh man, I'm just like, okay, number one, you're muted, but I'm just like, okay, I cried. This is the second time I've seen this video. I was just like, I'm on video, I can't pour tears. My clan animal comes from my Nakota side, so I get really choked up about this Rainbow Siege operator. But at the same time, I'm like, this is also something that people do, is where like they put things you love and culture in proximity to it to kind of help you get indoctrinated. So I'm just like, I'm gonna buy that. I'm gonna buy that operator skin. Like, I'm gonna use my money and I'm gonna buy it.
Mm-hmm. That's really interesting. I think it also for like representation side games, I've kind of always wondered when, because I've seen it all. I've seen it back in like the Xbox game, like early Xbox days, where it was like, if you bought the game called Gun, like literally your job the entire game was to like just kill indigenous people.
Yeah.
I don't even like, that'd probably be like illegal now to make a game that's only about that.
Yeah, because like Xbox is like early 2000s, and like people like the 90s were a wild time. Like we didn't like, I feel like culturally, like we have like internet and technology and like social media that exposes each other to our opinions, but even pre-internet era, it was like within like Western European culture, it was impolite to talk about sex, politics, or religion. So it's not just that we have a technological revolution, but we're also kind of grappling with like a social revolution where we're discussing things for like kind of the first time openly. So I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah, and like just to like draw a parallel to, just because it was like one of the first things that came to mind, was Gibraltar from Apex Legends. As like another indigenous character in a different game, of course, but I'd always wondered if like how much community actually contributed to that character creation.
Okay, I'm so happy that you brought up Gibraltar, because all the fans know Apex is my favorite game. Sometimes on our streams, I think I've left it on in the background actually. But Gibraltar is one of my favorite characters, not only because he's like someone you totally want on your team, but like every time I see one coming towards me, I'm terrified, which is such a good thing, like a psychological advantage to a team. But he's like Maori or Polynesian or something, right? But like the weird thing about Gibraltar is like, are there any skins? Like this for people not in the know, the skins are kind of like the outfit and art that gets put onto the characters, different textures, meshes, different clothing, items that they're holding. So when you play a lot of these like first person shooter battle royale games like Fortnite and Apex, you can get these different skins that cost money, or use tokens to purchase them, but they're worth it because it's art. You're buying digital art. I totally splurge for ones that I really really like. Like I'm gonna buy this Nakoda operator. But yeah, I haven't seen any Gibraltar skins that are actually Polynesian or Maori themed. Like there's
Mhm.
there's a Celtic one. So it's like this Polynesian guy covered in Celtic symbols as a skin, and I'm just like I use
Yeah.
that one because it actually
Yeah.
is like the closest to Maori art because of the swirlies, but it's not. It's not
Mhm.
Polynesian, so it's weird.
Yeah. I always wonder too, like like with the voice actors. I don't know, like people probably heard about the thing that happened with like The Simpsons, but in games, like it's kind of iffy. Like I think more now do game developers try to match voice actors with like with the character's ethnicity.
And it's
um,
such a it makes sense too because then it's like you all of a sudden have a person that can also be like, "Hey, I'm going to put my accent on it or my authentic slang into it, you know?" Like trying to
mhm.
watch people fake native slang is really funny.
Oh yeah,
And
it's true.
speaking of some of these silly media choices, I was just recommending to a friend of mine. Have you ever watched the documentary film Real Engine? That's real as in REEL. Um, have you ever
Oh,
watched that
maybe
one?
not.
It's like, oh, it's so good. It's just a bunch of indigenous folks working in film, recounting and reflecting on old spaghetti westerns and like different representations of natives in film. And what's really cool is they show a lot of footage. I think it was like with the Navajo Nation that were hired. They hired actual Navajo actors that were speaking in their language, and then they have like subbed actual translations or what they were saying, and they're just roasting everybody and the producers and the actors, and
Yeah,
it's just like it's a really great documentary. I feel like it would be amazing to see some foundation or filmmaker take on that topic within the video game media realm. I think that would be so fascinating.
it would be. No, I would
Um,
love to see something like that go down.
I was actually thinking because you're actually looking for contemporary indigenous video game artists right now to highlight and profile in upcoming
Yeah,
programming.
yeah, and it seems to be slim pickings. Um, so it doesn't seem like there's a ton out there as yet. But I'm still researching and looking around just to see like who's out there and who's making stuff. Um, and I found a couple media artists who have been basically like not unlike how artists, if you want to go into the arts and you want money, you probably end up in like an art teaching job of some kind,
Mhm.
or if you want stability, I should say. But similarly for like looks like digital media stuff, uh, seems like you find most indigenous media artists that are working in video games are actually working in schools,
Oh,
um,
yeah.
which has been an interesting thread to follow.
Yeah,
So
there was one thing that I found that I'm going to bring up. And this is the I am I think it's IMJ4 Lab or something like that. Yeah,
mhm.
IM4lab.com. They're really cool. A lot of the young video game makers that I've found, I think mostly through Instagram actually, kind of led me to this org. And we follow it at the Whitewater too. Um, yeah, they seem really cool. They do a lot of labs in learning, which makes sense why it's based in schools, because it's like it is a pretty new field to be going into, and like how do you actually make it in this world? And then like even like Canada in general doesn't have a lot of people, because what is it? Everyone goes to kind of the tech hubs, right? If
Yeah,
you're working in this field. So
exactly.
it'd be kind of cool to have more indigenous video game makers because we care about our locality, and to have folks based in community would be so amazing. Like the kinds of things that would be envisioned.
It's true.
Yeah, so that's just some cool stuff that they do at this organizations. Yeah.
In VR.
Yeah, totally. So we're getting to about that time. One of the things I will say about young folks that are interested in all kinds of media or visual art supports is that we're trying to get our youth collectives and our Indigenous youth collectives back together. Right now, we do have an opportunity for Black and Indigenous youth or artists. We have a whole bunch of flashcards, the Dots and Feathers tarot deck, which is a reflection tool that King Khan or Arish Khan will be teaching kind of on a weekly basis on Thursdays, 4 to 6 with the help of myself on our Discord. So if you're a young person who wants to get a free deck, or you're interested in starting a media art career, feel free to reach out and we'll hook you up the best way you can. And do you have anything else you want to say, Mitch?
I was just going to replug our most recent exhibition, Peripheral Islands. It'll be up into for the next 3-4 months. So please check that out on our webpage and let us know what you think. Always interested to hear feedback from the community.
Yeah, and we'd love to pass on that kind of stuff to the artists as well. So looking forward to hearing from you. And everyone have a great weekend, and that's including you, Mitch.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.